Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comically Incompetent. My name is Doug, and this week we are going to continue Mary Shrekmas. We're going to do Shrek 3, and I hope to God we can give you at least a half an hour show, because this movie was a little emptier than I remembered originally. Before I introduce my guest this week, I'm going to talk about the beer. This movie is all about who's going to be king, right? Who the next king of Far, Far Away is going to be. So we have a beer called Nobility by Noble Ale Works that I'll be talking more about at the end of the show. Now to introduce the beautiful people you see on the screen with me, Dom, Grayson. Guys, how you guys doing, huh?
Just watched Shrek the Third, so could be better.
Yeah, I'm really vibing with the Shrek behind me right now.
Can you show us what it says behind you? It
says sad ogre noises.
2020 in a nutshell.
This movie was like, I feel like I would have more to say about it. Like if we'd done this show for some reason back in 2007 when this came out. But now I watched it and I'm just like, what happened? What is this?
Yeah, the only explanation I could think of is like maybe there was a big shift in like writers and producers or something.
It was a different director for the first time.
It was a different director, and I think it was like a lot of different people for the screenplay as well.
Yeah.
It was as though the entire tone of everything just instantly shifted. Everything we loved about Shrek was like thrown out the door for some odd reason. Money. But
yeah. Like in a severe extent to a point where to me at the very beginning it sounded like a knockoff Mike Myers. Mike Myers didn't even sound like himself to me for some reason.
I agree. Probably didn't have the same energy in it.
Yeah, just I don't know why, because like I wonder what their thought process was. Shrek 1, immediate box office hit that the world fell in love with. Shrek 2, even bigger hit that the world loved even more. And they're like, you know what we should do? Change the whole damn process. Mix up the whole thing. Not do anything the same that worked, and let's just fucking go with it.
Well, for me, I see Shrek 1, I don't think it was made to be a series. I don't think any of these movies were made to be part of a series. I think they just kept making them because people kept liking them.
Yeah, that's right.
And they kept making money. I don't think Shrek 1 necessarily set itself up for a sequel. Shrek 2 certainly didn't set itself up for a sequel.
Nope.
So Shrek the Third sort of picked up where they thought the narrative left off, I guess.
Kind of.
But like in the worst way, with like entirely new thematic elements that don't work at all. And like throw away tons of character development from outside people. Like it was just odd. I don't know.
And for me, looking at the villains, the Shrek 2, the fairy godmother is probably one of the greatest villains in animated cinema history.
Oh,
and
easily.
I feel like it was people so far out of touch that people really seem to like Charming as the villain. Let's just make him the villain in the third one. You're like, he was the worst part of the second one, if anything.
Yeah, and he wasn't the villain to me. Like, he was like the oafish henchman almost.
Yeah.
And the fact that they tried to make him the main villain, I think, is the issue. I think he's okay as kind of like a secondary villain being kind of manipulated in the same way he was in Shrek 2, where he's like, oh, he's just a dumb idiot who's like kind of mean and handsome. But the fact that they like made him the entire brains, quote unquote, behind the operation, and brains, I suppose, behind the whole operation of like mobilizing all these villains to like rise up together for like his own musical theater endeavors. I don't know. You just kind of say the plot out loud, and it just becomes bad.
Yeah, pretty much. We get go ahead, Dom.
I was just gonna say I personally really liked the beginning, like where he's just being trashed at the movie theater, or not the movie theater, the theater, and he's like trying to do his best and hold it together. I don't know. I kind of like that whole part.
There were like fun aspects to it of like keeping the character that we knew and loved and putting him into these situations. I definitely see that. I think it was just like the way they kept going about certain parts of it, like. Yeah. And there are a few moments, like this movie is not all bad. There are some good moments we'll get into. I think early on, what?
Said it's pretty bad.
I'm saying it's not Oh.
75%, 25%, and that's being generous.
I like the part when the king is dying. He just keeps like dying over and over again. He's coming back to life.
They missed like 6 chances for good jokes there.
They did.
Why didn't they just say, the king, he has croaked?
They did. Oh no, they waited
said,
until they did it in the second one when I think it's Gingerbread Man's like, he croaked.
Yeah, or he could have like been coughing and somebody could have said, oh, he just had a frog in his throat. I don't know. I could have been a writer, I'm just saying.
You're not wrong.
The timing in this movie was off. I think there had to be some different writing going on because everything that we love about Shrek movies is the witty writing, the subtle adult humor mixed with just like the ridiculousness of a childhood animated film. This movie plays up the ridiculous childhood animated film and cranks it up to 1,000 and misses out on the fun, witty writing, I think. Once shows, movies start to rely more on just like outlandish physical comedy and less on smart writing, I think the movie becomes less rewatchable.
Yeah, definitely. And before we get started, we got really into it. I have a question of the week. I don't want to forget like we did last week.
Oh, yeah.
So, this movie takes place in 2007. They thought, who's big right now? They took Justin Timberlake and just shoved him into this movie he had no place being in.
So hot right now.
Now, what I want to do, my question to you guys is, I want you to take someone who's big right now, and I want you to tell me who you'd want them to play in any movie, just that they don't fit in.
Oh, okay.
Like, take someone like who's a star right now, who's pretty famous right now, and just force their way into a movie. And I want to know what you guys can come up with.
Okay. Who's hot right now? LeBron James in a reboot of Pride and Prejudice.
Who's it going to be? Pride or Prejudice?
He's going to be Prejudice.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were blatantly gonna say Looney Tunes or
Space Jam.
Space Jam. Honestly, that doesn't like. Oh God.
I'd have to say Idris Elba in like.
He is hot.
He's hot right now, but like in some kind of. In like a Paul Blart kind of movie.
I would watch the shit out of that.
I would, but I feel like it would just be a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it works though. Like throwing Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. That's kind of like one of those Mad Libs kind of moments, like we're talking about here. Justin Timberlake and Shrek. Like, I don't know, like Adam Sandler in an A24 production is like, wait.
See, I kind of took that and flipped it. My thought was put Rami Malek in like a Dumb and Dumber situation of a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Darling. He'd be horrible in it.
Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of Justin Timberlake in this movie, I mean, did he fit? I mean, how old was he when he played a teenager that he did like a voice for, kind of? Like, he kind of made his voice a little higher to play a teenager?
His voice was definitely altered. So I think Future Sex and Love Sounds, if I'm doing my math correctly, came out about this year. It was somewhere in the 06 to 08 range. So he was well on his way to bringing sexy back. Or he may have already brought it back.
It may have been brought back by now.
Yeah, I think it might have been brought back. If I'm trying to remember my middle school albums correctly. So
this a year before Sexy Back, so he already brought Sexy back.
So Sexy has been brought back.
Yes.
So if anything, this is a step in reverse to making Sexy less back. And that's the issue I have with this movie. It's not canon.
Yeah, jumping off the not canon, we already had Sir Lake. Was that his name? On the posters?
Yeah.
So this is messing with the continuity of our story.
Okay.
That's
Can
true.
I just get into my biggest gripe in this whole entire Shrek's-averse?
I want nothing more
my
from you than
SCU right now? Okay. I don't want to live in a world where Far, Far Away Idol is not canon.
Yeah, it's not.
In Far, Far Away Idol, Prince Charming is perfectly fine just chumming around with all the other homies. Captain Hook, the very same. And then in this movie, they take steps back. What's going on? Why did that just get thrown out the window?
And I feel like they took that whole thing, right? They took the whole, like, Captain Hook playing the piano. And because in Shrek 2, they make it something fun and, like, it's funny and far, far away. And this, it's like, I think they took the charm out of that whole thing of, like, having those kind of, like, classic Disney villains in. Like, it was a fun, charming thing that didn't have legs to run with, but they forced it. Yeah. Because, like, we joked about it in Shrek 2, he's like, I like my town. Like, that's fun. Yes. Like, that's good for what it is. We didn't need more. We didn't need more Captain Hook going forward.
They really just tried to take, like, some of the humor that worked from other movies and just kind of, like, rework it. Like, ooh, there was magic in the other one. What if Donkey and Puss just switch bodies?
Very creative.
Yeah, it's just like they're just kind of like throwing stuff out of dartboard. They're just like, all right, Captain Hook plays the piano. Gingy life montage. This movie just had a lot of sloppy writing, occasional slapstick humor, and just some, like, I don't know, ridiculous scenes.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna go downhill right when Charming got to the bar, and thought it was going to be Doris, but no, it's some other person with the same trope as Doris. So I don't know.
Yeah, the other stepsister.
Yeah, the ugly stepsister.
Yeah. I think...
All right, how many beers?
About 4.
How many of those? What depends on the percentage, I suppose.
It does. I'm going to say like, whatever the number is right after I black out.
Yeah. A 30 rack of Modelo. Modelo.
I think one thing about this movie that stood out to me was how Shrek, in the first two, you know, it's like fart humor, but it's good. Like, it's written in a way that's not just like slapstick fart humor. Like, it's done well like, for the characters. This was like the scene where the gingerbread man poops out a gumdrop.
Gumdrop.
Oh, yeah.
So is he wearing shit on his chest?
Yeah.
Like,
well, we don't kink shame on the Comically Incompetent podcast.
You're right, we don't. It just...
It doesn't work in the same
humor
way.
That isn't funny because it wasn't written for characters that it works for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the throw-up scene with the babies, like, in the dream...
That was just gross. That wasn't even funny.
Yeah, it was just weird. I think that's the problem with this movie, is that, like, the fart humor and the puke humor and the toilet humor is just, like, there for, like, to make a 9-year-old laugh. Yeah. Which is fine if you're marketing the movie in a way that it's a children's movie, but to this point, these have been, like, come one, come all movies. Like, there's something for everybody. And that's why I think it was just more of a money grab and more of a rushed kind of, let's just get a movie out, let's get something, you know, out there, make some commercial money, but I don't know, it didn't work the same way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Definitely.
I think this was only... Oh, this is three years after Shrek 2. Mm-hmm. So they had the time, which is crazier to me.
Yes.
That they spent less time... They spent more time in between 2 and 3 than they did in most, like, Marvel Avengers movies.
I know.
And that's crazy to me, that it felt so... It felt right. Like, I mean, Shrek 2... These movies are always an hour and a half long. And this one was the same. It was an hour and a half long, just like the first two. But this one felt empty and quick. It felt like less than an hour and a half, whereas the other two were an hour and a half that felt like 2 hours because they were so good and packed with stuff.
That's a good point. It was completely devoid of, like, plot. It just felt like... I was watching, like... I feel like there's more... Like, a Jimmy Timmy Power Hour packs in more punch, like, than this packed in 92 minutes. Like, it was just like...
time that's been brought up on the show.
Jimmy Timmy Power Hour rewatch coming soon, if it's streamed anywhere. I doubt it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it was just like... It's like, okay, he went to high school and then he went to an island and then he's back and far, far away. And it's like, okay, I just blinked and all that happened? Like, what? Yeah. I can't like, trying to go back and think of, like, important scenes in my head. I'm like, I'm coming up blank.
Yeah, nothing important happened, really.
Yeah. I mean, we did get John Krasinski is now in the Shrek CU as Lancelot.
Oh yeah.
our jouster who picks on
Yeah.
JT's character, who that whole high school scene was I think the only adult-ish joke for adults that we got in this movie was when the stoners are like, "You're burning all my frankincense and myrrh," as they come out of this. But even then, that was okay.
Yeah, I was watching it with my roommate, and he was just like, ah.
Yeah,
That's
or like the
pretty much
Puss
it.
in Boots foghorn cuss word. But again, that's that's not an adult joke. That's an I'm a 12-year-old who learned that word 3 years ago joke.
Yeah, that's a joke that you get the entirety of that joke as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the thing that made Shrek funny was jokes that you didn't entirely get as a kid, but you kind of thought you did, but you realized you didn't. You get the entirety of this movie as a kid. There's nothing nuanced about it.
Yeah, that's the perfect word for what this movie does not have. Nuance. There is absolutely no nuance.
No nuance. December.
We are this. And, I was watching some stuff on, Shrek 3 before this podcast, just trying to think, okay, what else, because as we thought, the talking points on this movie are few and far between. But, I'm hoping Shrek 4 just offers a little bit more. And from what I've heard, it kind of does, but I'm excited to see it. I don't think I've ever seen that movie, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. If we gotta watch that before we record. We're gonna watch that and then go right into a recording.
Yeah. Do you guys remember this movie from your childhood, or was because I felt almost barren watching this movie. I didn't remember much of anything.
Well, go ahead.
I only remember the Led Zeppelin part, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was not as funny as I remember it being.
Same, yeah.
I think the three of us made it funnier in our heads by joking about it than it actually was when the movie happened.
Do we think they paid for the rights because it was offbeat and then they immediately switched songs?
Yeah.
I feel like they'd have to still, right? I mean,
she doesn't even hit the scream on the right note.
Yeah.
On the right guitar riff, and then it immediately switches to a cover of
Is Barracuda.
Barracuda.
Yeah.
Because Barracuda, I mean, as good of song as it is a hell of a lot cheaper, I'm sure, than Immigrant Song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, even the parts that I remembered in my head, thinking, oh, that was funny. I mean, it was 2007. What were we? Probably 13.
Yeah.
We're about 13 years old. So I mean, I still remember the butt scratching scene, kind of being a little funny, and I remember that distinctly in the preview.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm oh yeah, Justin Timberlake's in this, and then I think, yeah, that's about it. That's all I can remember from this movie. There was nothing.
I thought the high school scene, I remembered that high school scene being a lot longer than it was. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of over, and I was like, oh, okay, we're moving on. I remember the wizard, Merlin, being a bigger part than he was.
Yeah.
And then I remember obviously the Immigrant Song, because I remember that being hysterical. I thought that was the funniest thing when I saw that as a kid.
Oh,
and
I did too. I remember busting up.
Yeah. I did laugh again. The only time I think I laughed out loud in this movie was the scene where they're playing Barracuda and the tree get shot at, they fall out of the sky, and then they pull the branch and the leaves come out like parachutes. I kind of went, huh, and then that was it.
The only part that I really think that there was smart fun writing is when he's interrogating Pinocchio, and Pinocchio's that reminded me of Shrek 2, where all those fairy tale creatures are sitting around, and he's well, I can tell you where he's not, and it's kind of these ridiculous exchange, and then the pig's oh my god, and he just blurts out exactly what's happening.
That
was the only part that yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just everything was so on the nose every single time. It's you could have you knew what the next line was going to be. You were okay, we haven't had a fart joke in about 15 minutes. I think we'll probably get one of those. I
mean, this movie is filled though with some interesting people. They definitely did a decent job trying to fill the cast. I mean, Larry King comes back and voices the other stepsister, just as he voiced the first stepsister. John Krasinski, Ian McShane plays Captain Hook, which he didn't in the first ones because he didn't really have dialogue. And then
Yeah.
you have a bunch of SNL alums, Sherry O'Terry, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, playing Rapunzel, Cinderella, and all of them. Amy Sedaris is Cinderella. Seth Rogen is the ship captain who only says the one line, like, we're
Eric
here,"
Idle.
or whatever.
That was Seth Rogen.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just like, it's like they spent all this money getting all these actors who then didn't have any, they didn't do anything. All their characters kind of did like 3 or 4 lines, none of them were great, and then they move on.
Yeah, I didn't get anything from Donkey or Puss really in this movie either.
No.
It seems like they could have had like a maybe fun, interesting, humorous side quest going on or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just kind of like not even like quippy one-liners really. I mean there was obviously a few like the part that kind of made me chuckle was Puss like, "Oh, goodbye, my love," and then he just keeps going up to like 17 different cats. He's like, "Oh, and you, of course," because that's how I imagine Antonio Banderas is just like IRL.
Yeah.
But like I just like I wanted more from them because
Yeah.
like they can carry
Easily.
an entire they can carry a storyline.
Yeah.
Like we saw that with Puss having his own movie, which is 15 times better than Shrek the Third. Puss in Boots movie's great.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen
haven't
it? I saw it in theaters as like a 19-year-old.
I have to watch it. We're not going to review it on here, but I'll watch it.
No, it's not worth that, but it's great. So I'm just saying, like, I wanted more from them. Like, the body switch, like, it just felt like, oh, crap, we forgot to write something for Puss and Donkey. Okay, they're going to switch bodies. Like, I don't know.
I
Oy
mean,
vey.
it's just like, even the parts that I thought, like, oh, these we'll have some stuff to talk about. But then I watched them, like, they weren't as much as I thought that they were going to be.
Yeah, and then they just, like, kind of swung. They're like, okay, we had the musical number at the end of Shrek 2. Let's get another musical number. With, like, Prince Charming's, like, dinner theater.
Yeah, that wasn't, like, you have a villain who, like, I feel like, why was it just like a theater play? Like, what were the stakes? Besides, like, Shrek was going to be killed on stage. But, like, the whole kingdom still loved Shrek and wanted him to be king. And
Yeah, what was the best case scenario for Prince Charming?
yeah, like, they all hate him and he's king, but he won't be king for that long because everybody hates him and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's, what was this whole thing? Like, it didn't make sense.
He wanted his happily ever after, but his happily ever after was still... I don't know, I just feel like he could have had some sort of character development from the second movie to the third movie. Because
Yeah.
at the end, he's just like, he's still himself. Nothing happened. Like, he's still chasing the dream that his mother set out for him.
Yeah.
There's nothing new for him. He's like, I think maybe it's just portraying that he's like an empty, dumb slate of just like handsomeness. Which, like, yeah, you can think of probably like 15 people like that, like Doug.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
doesn't
like,
work as like a main villain.
It doesn't work as a main villain. My point
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's like I want my villain. Like, I know it's Shrek. We shouldn't expect any like this kind.
But we should.
The
Just
first
2 and 3
movies,
1 and 2 gave it to
yes,
us. Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to expect these like beautiful thematic elements from like animated children's movies, but when you give that to us, and there's like, this is how Shrek became a meme. Shrek
Yeah.
the Third is how Shrek went from respectable, funny comedy film to a meme.
Yeah. I mean, animation just does... I feel like... I mean, I can think of, like, Cars. Cars 1 was a really good, fun Pixar movie.
Ooh, Cars 2.
Cars 2 is garbage. Cars 2 is complete trash. And then 3 kind of picked it up, but didn't fully kind of bring
Yeah.
it back to where it was. But Cars 2 was... They were spies in, like, Tokyo for some fucking reason. Like, they're cars. Let them just race and do the thing that the race car does. Don't make me think about, like, Mater eating fucking wasabi for some reason. Why is that a movie? And that's what what you think of when you see this one, is you're like, do something. Like, just do something that we know you
literally
can
do anything. And yet, they miss the mark of doing the bare minimum, which is give us, like, I don't know, a story with some continuity, playing on similar themes. It's just like
Yeah.
Shrek doesn't want to be a dad. Or does he? Look at this relationship developing with Justin Timberlake. Pretty fatherly, am I right? Here's the Cyclops. Even a monster like me can have a beautiful baby. Shrek. Huh. I too am monster with baby.
Yeah, I mean...
You're hired.
I don't know, because even the characters that were supposed to be offering, like, some extra fun, like, humorous elements, like the other princesses, like, they didn't offer anything.
No, not at all.
Like, besides, like, 7 seconds of Immigrant Song, like, what? Name one other thing that happens. I guess Rapunzel had a wig, which was kind of funny. But,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of their little quips were kind of funny. I don't remember any of them. But
Yeah, exactly. You don't remember any of them.
at
You're
the
like,
moment, I
oh.
chuckled a little bit.
Yeah, I was honestly I was trying to think of one of them to say, and I couldn't think of anything, so I just sat quietly because I can't remember any of it.
Where's the baby? That's all I remember.
And that was like, whatever one of them, because they're so unmemorable. Whatever one of them gives that to her as a gift, the
Yeah.
babysitter. Where's the baby?
Where's the baby?
Wait, so Snow White, they gave
Oh, Snow White. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fiona
a dwarf.
the dwarf, but which dwarf was it? Because it was one of the 7.
It's got to be Doc.
Oh yeah, didn't he wear glasses?
Is there
Dom,
one
you're
like-
asking me to remember a movie I just watched 7 minutes ago, and I can't.
Me neither.
I feel like a goldfish. This movie makes me feel like a goldfish. Like I have a 7-second memory. I'm like, what are they supposed to be doing right now? Oh, like it's like every single time
Yeah.
like there's a new scene, I forget what happened in the last scene because nothing was keeping me attentive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way the movie drew and also voiced that dwarf, I feel like it was like, it had to be a new dwarf, like Drunky or something, because it was like, hunched, there's like got 5 o'clock shadow, it's like, where's the
Nanny?
baby?
Yeah. Smokey?
It's like, oh,
like,
Jesus, okay.
Smokey.
Recovering addicty.
Yeah, pedophilic uncle. Touchy.
Inappropriate touchy.
Ozony.
I mean, we're at...
Which dwarf would be the best Manny?
Oh, there we go. Okay, good question to extend some time here.
Maybe I feel like Doc is a pretty good
It's
one,
gotta
right?
be Doc,
Can't
but
be
I don't
Dopey.
feel like he's very warm and like cuddly and like fun.
I feel like he wouldn't be though. He's just like neutral. He's
Happy?
not.
Is there a dwarf named Happy? Dom, tell me the names of the 7 dwarves. Go.
Oh, okay, so there's Dopey, Angry. Is that his name? I don't remember.
Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Grumpy. There you go.
Yeah.
Angry.
Feisty.
Doc, Sleepy.
Achoo.
I already said Dopey. Sneezy?
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah, why Sneezy?
I don't know. It's not an emotion.
Go back to the 40s and ask him. I don't know.
I'm missing 2. I'm missing 2 here.
I only know one of the ones they're missing. I don't know
already
the
said-
other one.
Didn't I already say Doc?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're missing Bashful.
Bashful.
That's why I forgot.
Yeah, and I don't remember the last one you're missing.
Is there Dopey? Did you say Dopey?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I'll do
did.
my research.
Whimsical? I don't know.
Flirty.
Childhood wonderment?
Oh, there is a Happy.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, we didn't say that one then because I thought that wasn't one.
Yeah, Sleepy.
So-
I said
Yeah.
Sleepy.
You
Yeah,
did, yeah.
Happy is one of
Sleepy.
them. Wow.
Yeah, so Sleepy would be the worst because he'd just sleep.
I'd probably say Happy.
Happy.
It's the worst?
No, it's like
best.
the best one. The best, would be the
Okay.
best one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grumpy.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't get angry with the thing. So,
Yeah.
Can you guys summarize this movie in 2 sentences or less?
Yes.
Okay, because you can't do that with the first 2.
Yeah,
No.
no. The movie is Shrek does not want to be king or a dad. Shrek becomes king and a dad. Or not king, but a dad.
That's literally the entire movie. And notice how you didn't have to talk about the character with the second most dialogue already once.
And which, by the way, okay, another thing that pissed me off this time, not pissed me off, I didn't like it, was Princess Fiona, right? The first 2 movies set her up to be this strong, independent fighter woman who can handle herself. In this movie, you kind of think she's starting to do that, right? She gets captured, but then she's like, we can escape. And then she gets captured, and then she's like, gotta fight her way out, and then she gets captured again, and then Shrek has to free her and save everyone.
Yeah.
It's like if this were in the first two movies, she would not have been either captured or fought her way out on her own. Why is she captured 2 different times with 0 control? And why the fuck can the queen just headbutt concrete?
And why did she wait so long to do it?
I know. What is this movie, man? I did think it was funny, though, how they played on that moment of... I didn't laugh or anything, but I thought it was interesting how... They had the scene where they're like, all the princesses who in their original cartoons were like saved by male princes. And they're like, all right, ladies, assume the position. And they all just lay down like waiting for rescue. I thought that was it. That was kind of like you're looking going, okay, there's a take that a Shrek movie would do. Okay.
Yes.
But then they completely override it and forget about the whole situation.
Uh-huh. It was kind of funny. That was like a good writing moment. One of the few. Where it's like, okay, yeah, we're making fun of Disney again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just like you said, it's like those moments are like, you can't even catch them because they're already gone before, like, you're like,
Yeah. Well, okay, never mind.
Yeah, okay. I guess they went a different direction there.
Yeah, like the whole Artie character was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, what was I supposed to, like, why
like
was he
him,
bullied
or...
so hard? Like, he's just a normal looking dude.
Yeah. He's not like he doesn't seem like anyway like a loser. They're just all of a sudden people in his school are like, you're a loser. Bully him. Like, that's not how, I don't know, maybe other people's high schools. But...
You don't have a dad, nerd.
That's what it was, though.
I mean...
Four eyes, you need glasses to see. It's like that level of bullying. Like, there's no depth to it. I don't know. Maybe if he would have been like... He's even, like, handsome. That's the problem.
Yeah, he's decently looking.
But, I mean, even to a point, like, the nerds that they set up are then the ones bullying him the more than, like, the jousting team.
Yeah. Man. If I had $1 for every issue of this movie, I'd have a lot
Could make
of money.
another one.
I don't know, man.
We could take those dollars and do Shrek 3 again.
Yeah, we could remake Shrek 3 superiorly.
It wouldn't be that hard. Just add some nuance to it. Add something to it. Like, take the scenes that are pointless, which is 90% of them. Get rid of them. And then just, like, expand on the few moments of good that they had.
Yeah. What worked for you guys in this movie?
I think what Dom said was the beginning of Shrek not fully accepting becoming king. I think a movie on that alone would have been so much more interesting than what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the beginning, and his whole, like, trying to do kingly duties thing was kind of funny, where he chopped the dude in the head that was trying to be a knight. I laughed there, I'll be honest.
I did a little bit too.
But, I mean, that was kind of it.
I didn't laugh when he did it. I laughed when he let go of the sword and it was staying where it was. I laughed then. I thought that was kind of funny.
I don't know what worked for me, honestly. Maybe, like, a little bit of the like, fire pit chat between JT and Shrek. Because I think that was, like, one of those, like, few, like, heartfelt moments that, like, wasn't cringe. In this movie, but still, like, I don't know. I just didn't love the theme of, like, afraid to be dad, and yet dad the whole time.
I mean, that was the movie.
Yeah. No daddy, but am daddy.
Which,
once again, we don't kink shame.
I remember... I saw this... I think my mom and dad maybe took me to see this movie... Because I remember the scene, the only time any adult in the theater laughed, which was not the case for Shrek 1 and 2. You know, everyone was laughing in theater for those. So I think the only time any adult laughed was at the very end, right? They have the kids, it's been a long day, and he's like, all right, what are we going to do now? And there's cuts to them asleep on the bed. Yeah. Adults, because, like, you know, you raise kids, it's exhausting. That every adult laughed at that. No one... I'm pretty sure people were on their phones, like, most, if that was a thing in 2007.
07, that would have been like iPhone 1.
Yeah, like anything else was more paper in your pocket was kind of like doing anything was better than watching that movie for most of the adults. And I remember the only time my dad ever even looked at the screen was at that moment.
Yeah, it's like that. I think I saw this movie in theaters. I had to
I
have.
definitely did. I definitely
Yeah.
saw it. I don't know. Remember if I saw 1 in theaters. I definitely saw 2 and 3 in theaters though,
Uh-huh.
and then never saw 4.
Ah, man. I just wish it worked because
Me too. I wanted
it's
to
just
love
such...
it.
The first two movies were so well written and so funny. Yet they still kind of have like these like good like emotional like kind of themes that can tie together, and it's got good continuity. And then this one's just, I don't know, it's like they just kind of took the money and ran with it.
Yeah.
It's a bummer
Yeah.
when those kinds of things happen. It just reminds me, like, I'm gonna bring up SpongeBob because I always bring up SpongeBob, but like after the SpongeBob Square, like the SpongeBob that's on TV now is not anything close to what
No.
SpongeBob was when we were kids. It's the same kind of issues where they rely on slapstick, ridiculous humor because they're gearing it towards kids, and I guess that's where the money is. But I don't know. It's just a shame to like leave out all the smart writing that you had built up for so many years.
Yeah.
Yo, well, what's happening now that I'm seeing a lot in children's content is that I feel like people making it nowadays think kids are so stupid that everything needs to be, all the
Dumbed
themes
down.
and plot
Yeah.
needs to be spoon-fed to them, whereas that's not the case. Kids are smarter than I think movies give them credit for, and these movies can have those things that we grew up with, this more nuanced humor, and I think that shaped a lot of who we are, and I don't think kids are getting that, because I think people making them today, I think a part of it has to do with, and it's going to sound kind of douchey, but like the PC culture that's kind of coming around now is that people are scared to make content for kids that is smarter than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Shrek 3 was kind of the beginning. 2007 was kind of the beginning of that when we were still young. So we were kind of getting that right at the tail end of our like adolescence, was movies that spoke down to us and didn't give us ways to think and movies to think about.
Yeah.
And I think that Shrek 3 was kind of the beginning of that for kids content, of just like, now it's like, we're going to spoon feed you the plot. Every joke is going to make perfect sense, whether it's funny or not. And that'll be the movie. And I think that's
Well, they're
kind of
starting
what's happening.
to. This era is just starting to compete with YouTube in these kind of more condensed clips.
Yeah.
Where I think, just like if we're gonna get into this kind of more meta conversation here, just
We
like,
need, yeah, we're barely at 30
so,
minutes here.
there's so much entertainment out there that they're just relying on flashy imagery and ridiculous dialogue to hold attention.
Yeah.
They feel like they feel like smart dialogue doesn't pay the bills. They need, like, because kids can watch a YouTube video, and like kids YouTube is like an entire industry.
Yeah.
Kids Netflix shows are an entire industry of just like flashy bright colors and like crazy stuff. And when we were kids, like they couldn't rely on this like crazy animation and that kind of stuff. They had to rely on good writing.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that we're missing out on that,
Yeah. Normally about this time I ask you guys favorite parts. I don't think we can cover that entirely right now. But is there anything else you guys wanted to speak on about this movie? Because I knew it was going to be kind of a shorter episode, and I mean, I mean, there's not a whole lot to this. So I mean, is there anything else you guys want to speak on? Anything else you guys want to go talk about before I go into the beer?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting. We saw Rumpelstiltskin. He's gonna be the next one.
Yeah.
He was in it for like 3 seconds. But
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't know that he was going to be the villain in the next one when they
No.
did this one.
Again,
Yeah.
it's as though it's 3 standalone movies that just like didn't know that they were going to be a next one. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
They're just like, oh, okay,
Oh yeah.
this
and
thing now.
Is Prince Charming dead now? Is he with his mom?
I think so.
Did he
I
get
don't-
crushed by the tower?
I honestly don't remember that happening. and
What I
just watched
don't
this.
remember, what happened to the dragon for most of the movie?
Being a mommy?
Did we have a Lord of the Rings kind of issue here?
I literally asked that to my roommate when we were watching the movie, because Shrek and everyone went on the boat. And I was like, why don't they just take the dragon to the island? They'll be there in like 5 minutes.
Why didn't the dragon just eat Charming?
And the funny part is, too, like, the Lord of the Rings, there's really good reasons why the eagles didn't fly them to Mordor. There is no reason why they didn't just fly dragon.
Dragon really, like... Because Dragon could have played a big role in Shrek 2, also.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dragon needs to be better. I think that's really what we've learned here. Dragon is all flash, no production.
I think the
Only
writing
reproduction.
team, the writers just don't see the potential of Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon could have ended this movie quick and spared us 92 minutes.
There is two things I want to talk about, though. Both in the same area. Donkey's horrendous donkey dragon kids and Shrek's ogre babies. So
Nightmares Tonight.
Fiona had triplets? Is it where, like, or did she pop them out like 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. Like,
do ogres lay eggs?
Yeah, they had like litters. So I don't know. It doesn't seem very.
They're like an animal.
Yeah.
I was assuming triplets is what we're supposed to assume, is that she had triplets.
Yeah. Well, they usually eat their young.
That has been stated in past films. Again, where's the continuity? Where's Shrek eating his child?
Yeah, what does Shrek have that his father doesn't have?
That's true. We also learn about Shrek's dad a little bit here.
He tried to eat him.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
We're learning about... We're world building.
Yeah. That's one way to put it.
All right. I'm going to move on to the beer now.
Let's get out of here.
All right. So, not great movie, but great beer. Nobility by Noble Ale Works carried my way through this. Noble Ale Works is in Anaheim, California. Again, local Southern California beer. They were founded about 2009, and this is pretty fantastic. It's an Imperial IPA, a 9.1% alcohol by volume. This thing was pretty fantastic. Founded in Anaheim in 2009. I don't know what to say. The beer is just really good. I don't know anything else about them. I need to go visit them now because, they seem to have some pretty damn good stuff. Good quality beer. An Imperial IPA, which for something that was 9.1% in Imperial, usually when you have like an Imperial beer, it's going to be a lot stronger, a lot heavier. Didn't taste like it at all. It tasted like just a regular IPA. So it had that really good kind of like lightly bitter flavor, but having that alcohol percentage to kick it, which I know Dom likes to go for those high alcohol percentages.
Yep. I like flying to the top of the mountain and then skiing down. Usually works out pretty well.
What a beautiful metaphor.
That was more. You had more nuance in that phrasing than the entirety of Shrek 3.
Wow.
But yeah, check them out. Noble Ale Works. They have an online store and a beer to go. So if you live in Southern California, go check them out. Pick stuff up. Support all your local breweries, whether they're Noble Ale Works or anything in your area. And yeah, I think that about wraps up Shrek 3. I think pretty quickly.
Thank you.
So we are gonna wrap up next week with Shrek 4, end this whole Shrek Merry Shrekmas series of Shrek December, and then Shreksember. I edited the first episode the other day. I struggled through trying to say Shreksember so hard in that episode. I was editing like, what is going on with me right now? But yeah, check us out. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Just a reminder, YouTube versions are completely unedited. All the curse words stay in because it's naughty. And we have all the fun there. And then audio versions are all the same exact fun, just kind of streamlined. We cut out the parts where you don't know what to say and it's a little quiet for 2 or 3 seconds. All that is streamlined on the audio versions. Check that out. Podcasts available anywhere, everywhere. Whatever you want, man. We're laid back here. Before we end, though, the plan is, so next week we're going to finish with Shrek 4 with these two beautiful boys you see on screen with me. And then the week after, Adam and I will be starting the Batman The Dark Knight trilogy. And after that, I think my dad and I are going to do the Indiana Jones movies. So I don't think we're going to do Crystal Skull because I think that would be a shorter episode than anything else because that movie's garbo. But get excited for that, and we'll see you guys next week. Before that, Dom, Grayson, thank you guys for being here, man. I didn't have to do that. Thank you guys for showing up.
You got it, man. This one was a struggle, but...
It was rough. I appreciate you guys taking the time. And I appreciate you guys taking the time next week to do Shrek 4 with me. I appreciate all the stuff you guys have been doing for this show.
Of course.
So, all right, we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.